What's up, guys? It is early July and I figured it was time I gave you an update on these pepper plants. My tomato plants have also been going crazy lately, so I wanted to feature them in this video as well. I actually had a lot of issues this year with pests once I transplanted into these buckets. I had a really bad spider mite outbreak that nearly devastated these plants. I'm honestly shocked that some of them were able to bounce back from the condition they're in. I just sprayed them with a neem oil soap mixture relentlessly for about 6 weeks. It really stunted them, but they're finally coming into their own. So I'll show you them, starting with this ahi lemon drop here. So this one is a Bacatum variety. It's actually the biggest plant in this group right now. And since it's a Bacatum variety, it's the only one that I did put a small tomato cage on. In my opinion, the Bacatums seem to really branch out like crazy. So I learned that from last year with these lemon drops. I grew them for the first time last year and just had trouble supporting them. So I started out with the cage this year. I don't have any ripe peppers from this yet. You can see it's pretty covered with the green peppers though, and a lot of flowers. These are really nice. They kind of start growing straight up. And this became one of my favorite peppers last year. I made a hot sauce with it that was really good. Hoping to make more of that this year with it. And it looks like I'll have plenty of peppers once these finally all start to ripen, but it is loaded down now. Maybe not quite as loaded down as this Tabasco plant. It has been healthy for a while now, which is impressive because it looked rough. It's dark green though now and just looks really nice. It's got a lot of flowers on it, and then towards the bottom it actually has a lot of peppers. So these are much bigger than the Tabascos I grew last year. If you guys saw any of my videos of Tabasco plants last year, all these Tabasco peppers are way bigger actually. I'm not sure why, if it's just a different strain or what, but they look really nice. I'm actually about to pick a couple because they're this nice red color. All right, so got a couple red extra large Tabasco peppers here, and the plant is still just loaded down with a lot more of them. Not quite enough to make a sauce with here, but I will add them in my basket. It's a new basket I got. It's been super helpful for harvesting. But I have been enjoying just putting these when I make red pasta sauce, to make a red spicy pasta sauce. It's been really good. I'll probably do that with these ones. Next up in the purple tub, we've got my datil pepper. No peppers from it yet either, but it does have quite a few green peppers on it. You can see right here, and then covered in flowers as well. It's been doing well. There's another datil right there too. Got several of them throughout the garden this year. My first year with them. One thing people always ask me when I show these plants is if I top them. I actually topped 0 of my pepper plants this year. Been really getting away from it because they tend to do okay on their own. This plant I did not top, and you can see just how good it's branched out. So this was the original leader right here. Split on its own, split several more times on its own, and then later actually started shooting up some shoots from the bottom, and they're just as big as the original. So yeah, none of these plants have been topped, and they're all branched out very well. So do with that what you will. Next up, I have the jalapeno plant. This is my Craig's Grande jalapeno. You can see this is some of those leaves that were damaged by those mites, but I think we're through it. It's actually pretty loaded with green jalapenos. This branch is getting weighed down from some of them, so I might pick a few of these here. All right, a couple nice jalapenos there. I didn't pick all of them because, like I mentioned, with this variety, they will probably get much bigger. I just didn't want the plant to break itself though with those on it, and wouldn't mind having some jalapenos right now, so grabbed a couple. This is my Scotch bonnet plant. It actually looks surprisingly good. It was hit extra hard by all those mites. It and the Tabasco plant were definitely the worst too, and I'm honestly kind of shocked this one bounced back. Maybe I'll stitch in a clip of what it looked like 2 months ago, but it was rough. I won't hit on this one too long. I've got lots of great Scotch bonnet videos on my page. This one's at about the same stage as the rest of them though, with flowers and small peppers coming in. But next to it, we have my favorite, the white Fatale. I'm excited to have a bunch of them. We're gonna hit more of these plants later, but it is loaded with white Fatale peppers as well. They just take a very long time to turn white. And again, I did not top this plant, and I don't know if you can see how wide it is, but it is nearly as wide as it is tall. It's in the famous yellow bucket, if you guys have seen the other videos of plants in there. So hoping the best for it this year. People always ask me a bunch of questions about how I water these big plants, and I really do just give them a really good soaking with the hose whenever they're looking extra thirsty like this. So I get a lot of questions about, you know, how often. It depends on the rain, but with these pepper plants, they'll wilt and let you know when they're thirsty. And when they are, I really do just soak them. I also did get a bunch of questions on the big plant video from last year on if there was holes in the bottom of these bins, and there are. Definitely need that drainage for these pepper plants. That's it for the peppers in the big buckets though. Again, they're doing really good, which I'm happy with because they were not a while ago. I might honestly move these soon to a spot where they'll get even more sun, where I had my huge pepper plant last year, just to see how big we can get these in the next couple months before it starts to get cold here. Got lots of peppers just sprinkled in the garden this year in various beds. This one's a datil as well. So like I said, new to me this year, and I'm very excited to do a lot of experimenting with them. That's why I'm growing several datil plants. These galvanized tubs are new to the pepper patch this year. So I've got herbs in this one, and then in this one, I wanted to do some more kitchen type peppers that I can just come out here and use in my everyday cooking. However, I never like to plant just peppers in one raised bed. That would be a monoculture and just kind of an invite for pests. So I do have marigolds in here, which they claim repels nematodes and some other pepper pests. I'm not sure how truthful that is, but they look really pretty, and these have been going crazy lately. So just wanted to document them as well. In this one, I have, like I mentioned, those kitchen peppers. So I got bell pepper, jalapeno pepper, hatch chili. The bell peppers are still just coming through that spider mite infestation. So you can kind of see some of the damage I was talking about with those. The number one sign I noticed first when they all hit my backyard this year was these deformed leaves. And it has just been crazy dry this year, and that's what those mites like. So they definitely descended upon the pepper patch. I've been fighting them all year. Looks like we got some funky little deformed bell peppers coming along. They'll still be edible. This jalapeno is bouncing back, looking pretty good. Got jalapenos on it as well. Might actually be able to take a couple of these. That one's pretty big. And then next to it, I have a hatch chili plant. Normally, I would let the hatch chili plants get a bit bigger before flowering and fruiting. This year, I was just uncertain if it even lived though, so I let it go. And we have lots of hatch chilies on this thing. I'm surprised this little plant is able to support this many, to be honest. I'll let these get a bit bigger. These are Big Jim hatch chilies, so they can actually get about a foot long, but they're just really delicious. I've enjoyed growing them the past couple years. So not gonna pick them today, but it's good pepper, and this is a new raised bed that I've been enjoying. And last, but certainly not least, we have the white Fatales in the grow bag. I think this was one of my last videos I put out, was me making this Thirsty Earth system that I have them hooked up on. System's held up really well. I have really liked it. Some of you asked for updates in the comments. It claims you can go a week without having to refill the reservoir. It has just been so hot here though, like temperatures in the 90s every day, that I have had to refill it more often. But earlier this summer, I took several trips that were about a week, and during most of those it rained at least once, so I think that extended it, but the plants were perfectly fine. These plants did stunt a little when I put them in these grow bags. I'm not sure why. I definitely had to feed them some nitrogen to get them to go. They were all kind of this pale green color, but after I fed them, they've been doing pretty well. They all have Fatali peppers on them. So here's that. With the white ones, they do take a very long time to go from green to white though. So I'm still nowhere near really having white Fatalis, but do have quite a few on these plants. This one passed away after transplant. I learned that in its cell of the seed starting 6-cell just black tray, the holes were clogged up on the bottom. So when I went to transplant it, its roots were rotten and it didn't make it very long before it passed away. So I need to get another one to fill that in. But the rest of these are looking pretty good. And yeah, like I said, overall been very happy with the Thirsty Earth system. I refill it from my rain barrel. Right now it's so hot, probably every 4 or 5 days, but it says it should last about a week. That's pretty much it for what I wanted to show you guys on the peppers though. As we're coming into the dog days of summer, they're really coming into their own after a slow start. So I'm excited to see where they go, and we'll be sure to provide updates. Next up, I want to touch on these tomatoes though, just because this year has been a boomer year for tomatoes. I've got these new trellises, got this one and that one down there. Only 6 tomato plants total on these trellises, but they're just going crazy. So I wanted to first off start by measuring how tall these cherry tomatoes are, because they have gotten huge over the past month or so. I'm seeing 116 inches, you guys, which is about 9'8" tall. The raised beds that they're in are 1 foot tall raised beds off the ground, so that means 8'8" for the actual plants. For me, the biggest secret to growing big tomatoes has been to bury them deep. Ever since I started doing that, I've gotten much bigger plants with huge harvests. So what I do is I let the plant grow to about 2 feet tall in the starter tray actually, and then I trim off every branch and I bury it in an 18-inch deep hole. So you only see the very tippy top of the plant, and that whole stalk that you buried will grow advantageous roots, which will help it absorb nutrients to grow very big very quickly. Once they start to grow, I'll keep them trimmed, keep them a single leader until they're about 2 feet above the ground, and then I just let them go wild. I stop pruning completely, which might be controversial, but they really just bush out into all these huge plants. They're taking in so much energy from the sun. They've got a good base. Trimming the leaves off the bottom helps resist disease, so they're just really set up for success. So each side of this trellis I've been showing is actually only 2 tomato plants. You can see how bushy they get when you just stop pruning completely. And in my opinion, all of this foliage is just taking in all that energy from the sun. And we have so many flowers and then so many of these huge, beautiful heirloom tomatoes started as well as ripening. So down here at the bottom, you can see that's the single leader. And then this is when I stopped pruning it. Same on this side, you can see the single leader there. And then once I stopped pruning it, it just bushed out. And look at all these tomatoes. On the north side of this trellis here, these tomatoes, 2 plants are called Mr. Stripey, which is an heirloom variety. They make these huge, beautiful tomatoes, and you can see why they're called Mr. Stripey. They have stripes on the bottom, that beautiful striping yellow to red color. So let me put these down, and we have all of these other ones. Let me pull this. Just look at this bunch of tomatoes. So what I've done is last year I actually grew a Mr. Stripey plant as well, and partway through the season I got a Mr. Stripey that tipped the scale at over 3 pounds. So I saved seeds from just that tomato, and that's what these 2 plants came from, were seeds from that tomato, and it has been making these monsters just all summer long. I've been loaded with them. There's another one up in here. It's just hard to even get them out of this cattle panel. There's so many in here. Gotta come cut from this side and then take it out of this one. So yeah, another huge Mr. Stripey. These plants definitely have good genetics just because I selected them for that reason from last year's tomato crop. Look at how beautiful all of these tomatoes are. And this is probably, I don't know, 8 pounds of tomatoes off these 2 plants, and they're still covered in a lot of green, gorgeous heirloom tomatoes. Mr. Stripey, really good variety, would recommend it. On the south side of the trellis, we again only have 2 plants, and these are Super Sweet 100 cherry tomato plants. It's one of my favorite cherry tomato varieties, not only for the taste, but they also just grow so vigorously. They branch out like crazy. You can see these are covered in tomatoes. I've been picking cherry tomatoes for the last, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, and there's still just so many on the plants. These are the ones that birds have just been tearing up, but there's still so many that there's plenty to go around, plenty to share. I don't mind sharing with them at all. It's easier than trying to do anything to keep them off of it. But these have been awesome. I really enjoy them. If you need a good cherry tomato variety, I would recommend. It's getting super hot out here, so I'm gonna call that good on the cherry tomatoes for the day, even though there are so many more on this 9-foot tall plant or whatever it was. The only other thing I'll leave you for advice on tomatoes like this is don't plant tomatoes alone. So this one I have a small marigold with as well. You can see it's been ravaged by something, and then some green beans that have been doing well. And then with this one, I've got asparagus, some okra and stuff back there. Tomatoes are so susceptible to disease. These even have, you know, some stuff going on, but the plants are just so big that they can resist it. But planting them with other stuff as well definitely helps deter some of those pests and diseases. So I mentioned I have 6 tomato plants. That was 4 on that trellis, and then I have 2 on the side of this trellis. Let's look at them really quick. These ones are another heirloom variety. These are called Ananas Noir. So they're a black pineapple tomato. They've been doing really well too. Same recipe as I described with everything for the last one. So bury them deep, prune them till they get about 2 feet off the ground. Don't plant them alone, and then just let them go. Quit with the pruning. So look at some of these bad boys. I can't wait to pull them. This one might be the biggest. I honestly don't know how I'm gonna get it out. Looks like it's kind of wedged himself in there. So I'm about to try to pick some of these. All right, time to pick that bundle. If I can even get in here. Let's see. Just look at those tomatoes. A little bit of bug damage, something's been biting them, but beautiful tomatoes. These ones don't get all yellow and red like the Mr. Stripey. They do keep some of this dark green on top. I can't wait to slice into these. This bundle alone though, that is pretty hefty. So we'll add them to our stash. My little basket is getting up there in weight. Okay, I was able to push this one through the cattle panel just to be able to clip it. So let's see what we're working with. Another giant, beautiful heirloom. Love these heirloom tomatoes. They taste so much better than anything that you would get in the store. And they're so much better for you as well. They don't always look the prettiest, but what they lack in looks, they definitely make up for in taste and nutrition. This is a crazy view though. You can see just how many more of these I have. Again, this is only 2 plants on this side of the cattle panel, but I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, so many more tomatoes. I've also just been dying to cut one of these Ananas Noir tomatoes open, so I'm gonna show you that at the end of the video. They're apparently really pretty when you cut them open, as are the Mr. Stripeys. So I'm gonna show you that at the end of the video. The only other thing I'll show you outside is these Roma tomatoes. This is only 2 plants as well. They're not on the cattle panels. I wish they were. They've been going crazy, and I've been having to tie them up to the fence or attempt to. There are cages somewhere in there. I picked a ton of these yesterday, and there's so many more green ones and one starting to ripen. So big year for tomatoes. Not sure if anybody else is having a crazy year in tomatoes. Maybe it's something with the weather, If you are having a good year with tomatoes, just let me know in the comments, because I think this may have been my best. I've only shown 8 plants in this video, including these 2, and I've just been overwhelmed already, and it's only the beginning of July. So we're gonna go inside. I'll cut this open, give you guys a peek at that, and then I'll wrap this one up. This basket is much heavier than when I brought it out here. I'll be lugging it inside with some weight. It is nice though, it's got holes in the bottom, so I can just spray it with the hose out here to wash these tomatoes off. And then the handles lock together, which is cool for carrying it because you don't end up with it really rotating to one side or the other. I picked it up at Target, but I can link it as well. All right guys, here's my whole haul, including the Romas that I picked yesterday. Just look at all of these gorgeous heirloom tomatoes. 'Tis the season for it. This summertime is what they love. I'm covered up right now, so I'll be sharing some of these with friends and family. I have been getting some Mr. Stripey's already, and I have been baking those into tomato tarts that I have for breakfast. They're really good, but this is my first round of the Ananas Noirs. So I've actually just got the smallest one here, and I'm about to cut it open just to see how it looks. I've heard that they are stunning inside. Yeah, that's a pretty tomato right there. So my favorite way to eat these is just have the tomato on a plate, drizzle some olive oil on it, some salt, some pepper, and just have it that way. I can't wait to try this one. If it's anywhere near as good as the Mr. Stripey, it's gonna be excellent. If you guys are still watching at this point in the video, thank you so much. I know tomatoes aren't really my normal content, but these ones just seem too good not to show off. So thanks for watching. If you're still watching but haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Helps me out a lot, and I'll see you guys on the next one.